Axiata Group Berhad is one of the largest telecommunication groups in Asia with over 260 million customers. Axiata has controlling interests in mobile operators in Malaysia, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh and Cambodia, with significant strategic stakes in India and Singapore. This Malaysian-grown holding company has a stake in non-mobile telecommunications operations in Pakistan. Apart from this, the group has also established E.Co, a communications infrastructure and services company. This week, we take a look at Axiata's journey and its mission in shaping the future towards a single goal, advancing Asia. Hello, I'm Rosmani Zamdali and welcome to Tribute to GLCs, a show where I'll be showcasing government and companies and their contribution to Malaysians in general. Now, Axiata Group Berhad, one of Asia's largest telecommunications group, is a true regional champion and Malaysian flag bearer. Now, Axiata has gone from 40 million customers pre-demerger to over 260 million in 8 countries in 7 years. Now, its history goes back to 2008, where the Telecom Malaysia Group, or TM, completed a strategic demerger exercise which resulted in enhanced Telecom Malaysia International, or TMI, which was merged with Celcom. TMI was subsequently listed on Bursa Securities on 28 April 2008. And in March 2009, TMI changed its name to Axiata Group Berhad and launched a new identity, enhancing its position as a leading regional mobile operator. Now, we'll take a quick look at Axiata's incredible expansion route with the tagline, Advancing Asia. The future in the world of telecommunications is full of uncertainties. The landscape for telecommunication companies, or telcos, is changing rapidly. Realizing this and being one of the largest telecommunication groups in Asia, Axiata Group Berhad, or Axiata, remains agile, spearheading the region in connectivity, technology and talent, uniting Asia towards a single goal, which is advancing Asia. Fast forward, Axiata has gone from 40 million customers pre-demerger with Telecom Berhad to over 260 million across 8 countries over 7 years, making Axiata one of the largest mobile players in Asia. To date, Axiata holds controlling interests in mobile operators in Malaysia, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh and Cambodia, with significant strategic stakes in India and Singapore, with a stake in non-mobile telecommunications operations in Pakistan. Aiming to offer more than just voice, minutes and data or airtime to its customers, the group's revenue last year was 18.7 billion ringgit, or $5.7 billion, while its market capitalization stood at over 60.5 billion ringgit, or $18.5 billion. Over the years, Axiata outshines its peers with numerous accolades it received for its achievements and will continue to strive to gain momentum in the industry. With us today, it is a pleasure to have Datuk Sri Jamaluddin Ibrahim, Managing Director, President and Group Chief Executive of Axiata Group Berhad. Welcome to the show, Datuk Sri.
Thank you.
Now, Datuk Sri, can you briefly explain Axiata's journey from its demerger from Telecom Malaysia in 2008 and its transformation into a leading regional mobile operator?
Let me start with when we demerged, right? Or maybe even before that, before I joined. When I joined about 1 month before the demerger, with a view to take over upon the demerger of TMI from TM. And it's quite daunting because the challenge was how to make a GLC a truly multinational company, competing with some of the best companies in Malaysia and also in the region. So that itself is a challenge, and that subsequently led to the vision of making it a regional champion, because we don't want to be one of them, we want to be one of the best within the region, not just within Malaysia, but within the region. So that was the starting point, actually. The first thing we have to do is to develop and crystallize what is the vision all about. What is that regional champion all about? And so we did that. We look at it from the perspective of course, financial. Of course, that is extremely important. But to be sustainable, we believe that it has to be beyond just financial. So also from a people aspect, from processes, how we run the company, basically. And lastly, from a planet perspective. So we call it a 4Ps, right? Profit, people, process, and planet. How do we grow the company? So we decided to grow. In the past, the company has done extremely well in building a footprint. My job is to maybe continue that, but that becomes secondary. My job is to grow more organically before we can even go back to inorganic growth. Strengthen all the companies that we have. Our strategy also includes the how to build the right management bench and people to be able to differentiate ourselves against all our competitors and other players in the industry, and so on and so forth. So that's key. Vision, then we develop a new strategy. As a result of the strategy is how do we completely revamp the main board, the operating company boards, and of course the respective management teams across all the countries. Again, to reflect what we are. Not that they were bad or good, it's about how do we position ourselves to the future. Similarly, we look at the top management team. Then there was about 49, what we call top management team of the whole group. So over the next 1.5 years then, subsequent to the demerger, we changed about half of them. Either we redeploy or we change, or we have to make all these changes. Again, in a very humane Axiata way, right? We took care of them very well. And many of them, they were not performing. But because, again, if you want to go into a different world to compete in the regional world and worldwide, we got to make this kind of changes.
Yes.
We also have a strategy with regards to people where we believe in diversity. So that's why you will see we brought in people from all walks of life, from other nationalities, other races and all that, to make it a complete company so that we can compete. So that's the early days. Of course, moving forward, we had our ups and downs. So we started initially with all these things that we did, and with a view of a long term. But unfortunately, as when we did all this, we had this world crisis happen in end of 08, 09. It's not a bad timing for me personally. While we were trying to do all that, we were hit very badly by that. Being a multinational company, obviously, in terms of forex, in terms of economy, all have been badly affected. And that was one of our earliest challenges. Dialogue in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, the civil war peaked. So we had a devastating 2 years subsequent to that. So we kind of started not extremely well. Well, the first few months, but we were affected by that. And of course, fortunately, after that, Sri Lanka recovered, the economy recovered, and very fortunately, Celcom did very well from then on. Has always been and continued to be. XL did in Indonesia did very well, and all the companies did very well. So I guess to cut it short, if you look at the end result by 2014, we look back and say, wow, we've made a lot of changes. When I say we, not me, the whole group, the people, employees. By then, by end of 2014, which is end of last year, we had about 25,000 employees, quite a big group, about 65 top management team. And when we look back, we almost doubled the revenue, almost doubled the profit, and more than double our market cap. So we felt good about it.
Okay, wonderful. That was the past and strengthening to the present day. We'll talk more about that when we return after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back to Tribute to GLCs. Now, Axiata's business philosophy is its commitment to advancing Asia through technology, connectivity and people. Now, today, the group has controlling interests in mobile operators in Malaysia, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh and Cambodia, with significant strategic stakes in India and Singapore. Now, with the expansion of its business, let's take a look at the company's efforts in making a difference to people's lives and transforming the countries in which it operates. Given the challenging regional and global headwinds impacting consumer sentiment and business investment, the group is also upbeat to contributing to not just nationally but also regionally, providing employment to over 25,000 people across Asia. As the champion in the region, Axiata is continuously progressing, transforming itself by aligning with the ever-changing consumer preferences and technological advancements via several strategic initiatives and investments. Axiata believes that it is key to have the people move within the group as part of its ongoing efforts towards developing talent and strengthening its human capital. Axiata is focused on building world-class talent. The group's talent management program, the opportunity created by the group to move its leaders around and to give opportunities to ready upcoming talent to take on leadership positions, has proven that the people are indeed crucial in achieving targets. Consistently being ahead of the curve and fast in adapting to change, Axiata's unique position and reach to internal talent has shaped strength in its leadership and has captained the group to sail its strategic journey of reinvention to becoming a new breed of telco. If you just tuned in with us today, we have Datuk Sri Jamuddin Ibrahim, Managing Director, President and Group Chief Executive of Axiata Group Berhad. Now, Datuk Sri, just before the break, we talked about the past of how Axiata came about. Now, the group continues to grow its digital business. Could you elaborate on its digital services?
I like to because, we have been very much arguably a traditional mobile business doing what we have been doing for the past 8 years, and in fact many of the companies have been doing for the same thing for the last 10 even 20 years, right? So, and then we look at the future and say that, how does the future look like, right? Are we going to be the same way that we have been, same business model and all that? We have been kind of attacked by the new players, and many of them are internet players. Right? We call them OTT, over-the-top players. There's a term that the industry has been using. In many sense, they have been a substitute to many of our services, right? See, like even our SMS, which has been pretty big business, pretty profitable and pretty big. In Celcom itself, just Celcom, over the last 3 years, SMS has reduced by almost 50%. Just over the last 3 years. Voice to the tune of about almost 10% over the last 3 years. So that's the impact. Now then we say, okay, do we compete with them? Do we build our own internet or digital services or businesses? Or do we partner with them? Actually, the answer is all three. To some extent we compete, but more about partnering and more about building our own internet services. What we have decided is to be very specific into what areas we should be going into. Okay. So we have identified what we call the 5+1 of sectors or verticals. Okay. The closest and obvious one, of course, is payment. M-payment, mobile payment is pretty big and will be very big. So it's very natural. You use the handphone to make payments and to do financial transaction. The second one is in the area of commerce, which is where we have invested quite significantly. Okay. The third area in the area of advertising, more like digital advertising, mobile and digital advertising. The fourth area is in the area of entertainment. The fifth is a very new area, what we call the Internet of Things. Okay. And when I say 5+1, the last area is what we call the enablement. In other words, it's a platform to allow the so-called competitors to be able to use our assets, our customer base, our billing system and so on to be able to support them. So this is where we partner with them rather than compete with them. And hopefully there will be a source of growth for us. are also a source of us changing our mindset from a very traditional mobile company to a more digital internet company.
Okay.
And later on, I do foresee many of the services will be integrated back into our core business. And that's how we look at digital services.
Now, in your quest to become a regional champion, you know, what were the milestones that you have achieved along this journey?
Yeah. In a way, it is related to what I said earlier. One, of course, is the financial measurements. And as I've said, when we look back over the last, from the time we started to the time at the end of 2014, which is the last financial year, profit actually increased by about 90%, almost double to 90%. Revenue about 90% too, again almost double. Our market capitalization grew about 2.2 times. Subscriber is the one that we really take pride of, from the 40 million to the 260 million. So that's about 6.5 times from when we first started. So it has been something that we are very proud of. But also, to be a regional champion, you got to be more than that. You got to be benchmarking yourself against the rest of the world, right?
Of course.
So that's what we did. From a revenue perspective, when we look at the footprint where we're in, basically ASEAN and South Asia. Within that perspective and within that footprint, our revenue ranking when we first started was number 9. At the end of 2014, we were number 4. Similarly, our market cap was number 9. At the end of the 2014 was also number 4. But subscribers, we were number 7 or 7 or 9, I can't remember exactly. But we ended 2014 to be number 2, the second largest in this part of the world. So that's from that perspective. But to complete the picture, like I said, and it's very important for me to point out that that's not the only measurement. To be sustainable, we got to have the right talent. So we measure also talent, for example. So by the end of 2014, we have built what we call a talent pool at the topmost level. In other words, these are the future top management or top managers of the company. We have a pool of 140 people, right? So in the future, this will be the future top management of the company. Similarly, at a second layer, what we call second grouping of layers, who will be the future middle management and of the company, we have about close to 800 people already. So in total, we have more than 1,000 talent that we have identified, nurture, and in many cases kind of rotate them in all the other subsidiaries to position them for the next position.
Yes, and to take the company to great heights. We'll be talking
Precisely,
more about that.
Yeah.
When we come back, we'll be focusing on the company's contributions to Malaysia and its future expansion routes. Stay with us. Welcome back to Tribute to GLCs. With me, Datuk Sri Jamaluddin Ibrahim, Managing Director, President and Group Chief Executive of Axiata Group Berhad. Now, Datuk Sri, just before the break, we talked about talent. From just a small talent pool, you have now grown bigger now. So, basically, Axiata provides employment to about 25,000 across Asia. Now, thus making it at the forefront of talent selection and retention. Can you elaborate on Axiata's focus on that, on talent development and leadership building?
First, I must say that is one of my own personal top priorities. Even before I joined, that has been perhaps one of the reasons why I joined this company, because I believe that Axiata, then TMI, would be a good platform to build future talent for the respective countries, but especially, of course, Malaysia. We want to build a talent program that is second to none. So, first internally, we develop a very systematic, quite a structured process. We have 5 layers of talent, how we nurture the talents, develop the talents, how we identify them in the first place. We build talent councils at several levels, at a group level comprising of me and all the CEOs of the respective companies, and at the operating level, the CEO and their key management people within the respective countries. One of the biggest problems is trying to develop and find the right CEOs, not just for us, for the whole country. So we say we can play a part. We say this is from a pure CSR perspective, from a more pure national building perspective. Yes, it's part of talent, but it is also part of the national building. So hence, that's the birth by 2012. I think is the birth of what we call Axiata Young Talent Program, where we nurture people from 13 years old all the way to pre-university and university days, university level, right? So that is under umbrella of Axiata Young Talent Program, and to date we have trained them to become future CEOs. I think we have trained to the tune of about slightly more than 1,000, and we by 2011, which is 10 years since first started, we are looking at about 5,600 future CEOs ready to become CEOs of Malaysia. Obviously, not just Axiata, but for the country. So that's our contribution. So come from talent, also come from a national building perspective.
Now this program, starting from 13-year-olds, is not only in Malaysia.
Right now just in Malaysia.
I see.
And we have a pledged 100 million ringgit program for this program. And we actually spent a couple of, by now we have spent about 30 million already. We have started about 2 years ago in Indonesia, and we are just about to start in Cambodia. Similar program. We actually build our own curriculum. We work with professionals, we work with the schools, and to develop a unique curriculum of building future leaders and building a couple of key skills. We focus on primarily communications, critical thinking, and creativity thinking.
So what were the challenges? Did you face any challenges in introducing this program?
Actually, both internal and external. The challenges has always been when times are hard, the easiest thing to do is to, to either drop this program or to reduce the budget. But we stay the course even during ups and downs. The second challenge is about to find them in the first place. It's very hard. Internal is very hard because at that level, trying to find good talent is always a problem everywhere in the world, and especially in our part of the world. But for external program, the AYTP, fortunately, it's not so difficult because they are still young. We can still nurture them. You can see the talent coming out of them. You can, so we can nurture them. So it's a lot easier. So the theory of finding them early in the game is quite correct then, because it's easier to find them, easier to develop them, easier to mold them, and hopefully they'll be good CEOs in the future.
Yes, for the future of Malaysia.
For the future of Malaysia.
Now, Dato' Sri, as a long-term investor in Southeast Asia and the South Asia region, it is said that Axiata has actively contributed to the economic and nation-building efforts in each of the countries that it operates. Can you elaborate more on this?
We contribute some directly and indirectly. I guess directly is the nature of the business itself. The good thing about this business is a tremendous impact to the countries that we operate in. Telecommunication is not just about making phone calls, about how it assists in economic building, assists people's life, and it's become more and more obvious. I mean, I don't have to even elaborate. It's pretty obvious how it affects people's life, and both urban, and the fact that we are reaching to the rural areas. In almost all the countries we operate in, we cover about 95 to 99% of the population.
I see.
So that's how we contribute more in a more direct manner. The other direct manner is the discussion we had on talent, right? The amount we spend, we nurture these people, and hopefully 5, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now, they become major contributors to the respective nations. So that's direct. The indirect one is not pretty understood by a lot of people, frankly, because for every dollar that we spend in our investment, there's a multiplier effect of 4 to 5 times, or even 6 times. The fact that we employ 25,000 people say, that's all? No. Because of our business, there are distribution, dealers, there are a lot of people opening up shops, people who have to support the business. And we calculated, actually, in fact, done by a third party on our behalf, we created over the last 8 years 1.3 million jobs across all the countries we operate in.
I see. The domino effect from the 25,000.
Significant.
Yes.
It's not small, it's significant. Not to mention the financial impact to the economy. in terms of our own development, right? We invested the last 8 years, just CAPEX alone, on all the countries, more than 30 billion ringgit. So can you imagine the multiplier effect? Now you can even measure them in terms of how it impact the GDP of the respective countries. We are one of the biggest taxpayers in all the countries we operate in. For example, in Malaysia, definitely one of the largest. Singapore, definitely one of the largest. Indonesia, one of the largest. In Sri Lanka, for example, we are easily the top 3 biggest contributors to the economy. Certainly, we are the single largest FDI contributor, the single largest FDI contributor to Sri Lanka. So, if you look at it, if I can summarize, we at a company called Axiata is not just about fulfilling our own duty and to our shareholders, but also contribute significantly to all the countries that we operate in. And we are a big national builder.
Well, thank you so much, Datuk Sri, for joining us today. And we hope that Axiata will play a more important role in our lives with the tagline, Advancing Asia. That wraps up this edition of Tribute to GLCs. For more information on the show, you can log on to astroawani.com. We'll be back same time, same place next week. Till then, I'm Rosmani Samdali. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.